Ignis, the ruler of flames, the supreme god of war. Ignis possesses 450 health, 10 armor points, and 100% knockback resistance. His glowing red eyes burn beneath a body that floats like a living blaze, constantly surrounded by smoke and fire. In his right hand, he carries a massive ruined flame greatsword, while his left arm holds an enormous heavy shield. Thick, blazing armor covers his entire body. Most of Ignis' attacks can instantly disable shields. This makes defensive play extremely dangerous. Whenever Ignis lands attacks using his sword or fireballs, he applies the blazing brand effect. Each stack reduces the target's armor and armor toughness by 20%, stacking up to 5 times. The higher the blazing brand level, the more health Ignis restores with each attack, up to 25 HP per hit. When Ignis targets an enemy, he continuously raises his giant shield unless using another skill. During this state, he becomes immune to all frontal damage and reflects projectiles coming from the front. To damage him effectively, he must attack from behind or use armor-piercing damage such as magic. However, his shield can be broken early. By reflecting Ignis Abyss fireballs back at him 3 times, the shield will explode, dealing 10 damage. After breaking his big shield, Ignis will then roar violently and stun nearby creatures for 2 seconds. Ignis raises his flaming greatsword and swings forward, dealing 15 damage while igniting targets. If the attack connects, Ignis restores 5 HP against nearby enemies, and they follow up with a ground cleave that deals 15 direct damage or 14.5 damage through flying debris. Against distant targets, there is a 30% chance he chains into an uppercut instead. They cause 5% max HP damage. Flame Slash applies Blazing Brand, 1 for 12 seconds. In Phase 3, the damage increases to 18. Ignis swings his sword forward while dashing a short distance, dealing 14 damage plus 6% max HP and setting enemies on fire. Successful hits heal Ignis for 5 HP, and he may occasionally follow with a shield bash. Blazing Charge also applies Blazing Brand, 1 for 12 seconds. In Phase 3, the damage increases to 17. After using Flame Slash, Ignis may use this move against distant targets. During Rage Flame, 8-fold combo, the 5th hit is guaranteed to become this attack. Ignis pulls his left arm backward, charges for 2 seconds, then launches himself forward over an enormous distance before uppercutting enemies for 14 damage. Ignis thrusts his shield forward, knocking enemies away while dealing 10 damage plus 3% max HP. Targets are stunned for 3 seconds before Ignis immediately continues attacking. Once the shield is destroyed, this move changes into a punch and its damage increases to 14. Exclusive while Ignis still possesses his shield. Ignis lifts the shield and smashes it into the ground, creating a shockwave that launches blocks upward. Depending on the distance, enemies can take up to 24 damage plus 15% max HP, while being knocked back and causing heavy screen shake. Blocking this attack with a shield will forcibly disable the player's shield temporarily. Using this move does not cancel Ignis' defensive stance. During Phase 2, the maximum damage increases to 30. When targets are nearby, Ignis slams his greatsword into the ground 3 consecutive times. Each slam creates a shockwave dealing around 15 damage. The first wave expands outward in a small radius. The second collapses inward over a large area, and the third expands outward again. Standing directly beside Ignis causes 18.5 damage, ignition, and blazing brand 1. Swordquake also deals 8% max HP as bonus damage. Against distant enemies, Ignis leaps high into the air before crashing down with his entire body. The direct impact deals 14 damage, while the shockwave can deal up to 24 damage depending on distance and launches blocks into the air. During Phase 2, the maximum damage increases to 30. Leaping Smash also deals 15% max HP. When the target is more than 4 blocks away, Ignis charges his sword for roughly 2 seconds before thrusting forward. The stab deals 16 damage plus 10% max HP, then launches the target upward and continuously deals for damage plus 2% max HP damage per second. If the stab is blocked or dodged, Ignis skips the lifesteal follow-up attack, though he may still chain into Shield Bash. This attack applies Blazing Brand for 12 seconds. Starting from Phase 2, it instead applies Blazing Brand 5, essentially rendering your armor useless. Each individual hit only heals Ignis 42 HP, but combined with high Blazing Brand stacks, the healing becomes extremely dangerous. Ignis begins with a slash dealing 7 damage plus 3% max HP damage. If the combo connects, he follows with another 7 damage strike. If the player is hit again, Ignis finishes with a third slash dealing 17 damage plus 6% max HP damage. Every slash applies Blazing Brand 1. A devastating combo skill. Ignis first launches enemies upward with his sword, dealing 18 damage and summoning 3 normal fireballs. He then slams downward for another 18 damage, with both sword hits dealing an additional 10% max HP damage. Afterward, blue or yellow flame particles appear around Ignis as he leaps toward the player, generating 2 massive shockwaves before summoning 3 more fireballs, one of which is always a purple abyss fireball. Yellow fireballs deal 7 damage. Blue fireballs deal 9 damage. The abyss fireball deals 14 damage. If yellow particles appear before the leap, the first shockwave expands outward while the second collapses inward. If blue particles appear, the order reverses. Standing too close during the landing shockwaves can cause 2 separate hits of 24 damage while applying fire and Blazing Brand 1. The landing shockwaves also deal 15% max happy damage. The purple abyss fireball can be reflected back at Ignis. Upon impact, it explodes and deals 20 actual damage due to damage caps, while destroying 1/3 of his shield durability. Reflecting 3 abyss fireballs completely destroys Ignis' shield. When struck by his own abyss fireball, Ignis also gains Blazing Brand 2, temporarily reducing his armor to 2 points before recovering back to 10 after 10 seconds. The sword launch and downward slash within this combo both apply Blazing Brand 1 and heal Ignis for 5 HP. Ignis raises his sword and summons 5 fireballs, one guaranteed to be a purple abyss fireball. After hovering briefly, the projectiles launch toward the player, one after another, with the abyss fireball always fired last. Successful hits restore 5 HP to Ignis. Yellow fireballs deal 7 damage plus 7% max HP damage. Blue fireballs deal 9 damage. The abyss fireball deals 14 damage and an additional 20% max HP damage, just like before. The purple abyss fireball can be reflected back. When enemies stay too close or attack Ignis too aggressively while he is idle, he may plant his shield into the ground and enter a counter stance. If struck during this state, Ignis releases a massive cone-shaped shockwave that ignites enemies, dealing 18 damage plus 10% max HP damage while healing himself for 7 HP. If Ignis has already lost his shield, He instead raises his sword in front of himself. Being attacked during this state causes him to roar, stunning enemies for 2 seconds before releasing another devastating shockwave. Exclusive after Ignis loses his shield. Ignis rapidly slashes forward for times, each strike dealing 10.5 damage plus 5% max HP damage while restoring 5 HP. He then follows with an uppercut to more slashes dealing 7 damage plus 3% max HP damage, and finally ends with a gigantic cone-shaped shockwave dealing 18 damage plus 12% max HP damage. Every slash applies Blazing Brand 1. Ignis falls below 2/3 health, he briefly becomes invulnerable, raises his greatsword to his chest, then releases an explosion of fire and soulfire particles dealing 6 damage before entering Phase 2. During Phase 2, Flame Slash and Blazing Charge now apply Blazing Brand 2 instead of 1. When Ignis falls below 1/3 health, he becomes temporarily invulnerable once more and stabs his sword into the ground. A massive explosion of soul fire erupts outward, dealing 10 damage and permanently destroying his shield before he enters Phase 3. Exclusive to Phase 3, Ignis becomes surrounded by a massive blue magic circle while slowly charging his greatsword overhead. During the charge, all non-piercing damage dealt to him is reduced by 50%. After around 3 seconds, Ignis slams the sword downward, dealing 24 damage plus 25% max HP damage. 8 massive yellow soul flame sigils then appear in a straight line ahead of him. Targets standing inside these sigils continuously take 7 damage plus 6% max HP damage. That ignores enchantment protection. The central blue magic circle deals 9 unavoidable damage, while blocks launched from both sides deal 24 damage. This attack covers an enormous area and cannot be blocked. Soul Flame Slash is always Ignis' first move in Phase 3 if the target is too far away. Ignis will approach before charging the attack. Upon defeat, Ignis drops 3 Ignitium ingots, materials used to forge some of the strongest equipment in the mod. After hearing all of Ignis' abilities, I'm sure most of you now realize just how terrifying this boss truly is. But don't worry. In the next video, I'll personally step into the arena and challenge this God of Flames myself. This video took me an incredible amount of time to make. So if you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and leaving a like and reset. I'll see you all in the next video.